Welcome back to the deep dive. Look, I need to start today with a confession. A pretty painful one, actually.
Oh boy.
I have been playing competitive shooters for, I don't know, the better part of a decade now.
hmm
I've got the whole setup, the high refresh rate monitor. I have the lightweight mouse, the one with the honeycomb shell. My mouse pad is the size of a yoga mat.
All the gear, no idea.
That's just it. And yet, for the last 3 years, I have been absolutely, irrevocably hard stuck in gold rank.
It's a tragedy, a common one, but a tragedy nonetheless.
It's not just a tragedy, it feels like a statistical anomaly. I mean, I put in the hours, my aim is, it's okay, it's not pro level, but it's fine, my movement is decent. But there is this, like, invisible wall I keep hitting. And watch these elite players, the pros or just the sweats in my lobby who just completely wreck me. And mechanically, I swear, they aren't that much faster than me. They don't have 6 fingers on one hand.
Yeah.
But they win, and I lose. Consistently.
You've just described, I think, the central mystery of competitive performance for so many people. We tend to obsess over the hardware, the specs, the settings, the raw mechanics.
Right, the stuff you can buy.
Exactly. But the research we're looking at today suggests that once you hit a certain baseline of mechanical skill, the real differentiator isn't your fingers, it's the gray matter between your ears.
So today we're doing a deep dive into mental strength in esports. And I know that sounds like the kind of, fluffy advice a gym teacher yells at you from the sidelines.
Get your head in the game.
Yeah, exactly. But we are basing this on some surprisingly rigorous material. It's from a group called SporteAcademy.
Yeah, SporteAcademy is the educational division of a company called Sportainment Global.
Yeah.
They operate out of the UK and the UAE, but with a really heavy focus on the South Asian and Middle Eastern markets.
Which are regions where esports is just, it's exploding right now, isn't it?
Absolutely exploding. So there's this huge, hungry market for structured training.
And their whole premise is, it's pretty bold. They claim they can turn gaming, which, let's be honest, for most of us is just chaotic dopamine farming, into a structured professional discipline.
It sounds a bit lofty.
It does. But we've gone through their competitive mindset training course book and their tutorial modules, and it is dense. It's basically a university-level curriculum for clicking heads. It's intense.
Well, the goal is to professionalize the internal process, right? It's all about mastering that mental game so you can stay calm under pressure and, perform when it actually matters most.
And before we just dismiss this as like over-intellectualizing a video game.
Which is easy to do.
Very easy.
Yep.
But you found a statistic in the preamble of their research that it stopped me in my tracks.
The preset arousal stat, yeah.
Break that down. What does that even mean?
So preset arousal is just the scientific term for how nervous or agitated you are before a match even begins, just your baseline anxiety level sitting in the lobby. The data they collected shows that higher preset arousal is associated with a 9% decrease in your odds of winning.
Let's just pause on that for a second. Before you even spawn in, before you've looted a single weapon or seen an enemy, if you are just feeling nervous, you are statistically 9% more likely to lose the game.
You are effectively debuffing yourself. It's a self-imposed handicap.
That is wild. That's like equipping a cursed item in an RPG that gives you, like, -10 to all stats, but you're doing it to yourself in real life.
It's a perfect analogy. Think of it like trying to drive a high-performance car with the parking brake just slightly pulled up. You're pressing the gas. You're trying just as hard as everyone else, but the engine is constantly fighting against your own internal resistance.
And that's your mental state.
That is what that mental instability does to your reaction times, to your decision-making, to everything.
So we're going to unpack the 6 core modules from this SporteAcademy course. We're going to cover the winner's mindset, tilt control, which I desperately need, focus, clutch performance, learning from losses, and finally, pre-game routines.
It's a really comprehensive roadmap for your brain.
All right, let's start at the very foundation then. Section 1, the winner's mindset. Now, I have to admit, I'm always skeptical of mindset talk because it usually just devolves into just believe in yourself.
Which is completely useless advice.
It's useless advice when you're getting one-tapped by a sniper from across the map.
Yeah.
But they ground this in the work of Dr. Carol Dweck from Stanford.
Yes, the fixed versus growth mindset. This is foundational psychology, but when you apply it to gaming culture, it's like a skeleton key. It explains almost every single toxic interaction you have ever had in a lobby.
Okay, let's break this down because I have a sneaking suspicion I might be the villain in this story. What does a fixed mindset gamer actually look like in the wild?
A fixed mindset operates on the belief that talent is static. It's innate. You are either born a god gamer or you are a bot.
There's no in between.
There is no middle ground, and more importantly, there is no real potential for change. You are what you are.
So if I believe that, then every single match becomes a test of my inherent worth, a judgment.
Precisely. It's not a learning opportunity, it's a verdict. If you win, it confirms you are talented. But if you lose, it doesn't just mean you had a bad game, it means you are bad. It becomes an attack on your identity.
So you have to protect that identity.
You have to. So players with a fixed mindset develop these very specific defense mechanisms. They will avoid ranked games because the risk of losing ELO, their rank, feels like losing social status. They protect their KD ratio like it's their bank account balance.
Oh, I know these guys. They're the ones who won't push the objective because they might die and mess up their stats.
Exactly. And when they do lose, they absolutely cannot accept it was a skill issue because that would mean they are fundamentally bad. So what do? They externalize the blame.
It's the lag. He's hacking. My teammates are trash.
The game is broken. The servers are garbage.
He's stream sniping. That's my favorite one.
Any excuse, any reason at all to protect the ego. The internal monologue is always, I'm just not good at this, or this game is unfair. It's a total dead end for improvement.
Okay, so what's the flip side? The growth mindset.
The growth mindset views ability as a muscle, something that can be developed through effort, through strategy, through instruction. These are the players who get absolutely destroyed by a sweat, a really skilled opponent, and instead of rage quitting or calling them a no-life,
Which is what I usually do.
they think, whoa, that movement was insane. How did they do that? I need to look that up. They see a challenge as an opportunity, not a threat.
So their internal monologue isn't, I'm not good. It's, I'm not good yet.
That one word, yet, changes everything. It reframes failure as a temporary state on a journey, not a final destination.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. And this is the part from the source that blew my mind. It's not just a philosophical difference. It's biological.
Yes. The material references these brain imaging studies they did on the two groups. And when a person with a fixed mindset makes a mistake, their brain activity just drops. It goes quiet.
Wait, it drops? You'd think it would spike with frustration or something.
You'd think, but no. They literally stop processing. They tune out. The error is so painful to their ego that the brain just shuts down the learning centers to protect them from the shame of failure.
So they are biologically ignoring the very data that could help them improve.
That's it. They are doomed to repeat the mistake because they refuse to even look at it in the first place.
Whereas the growth mindset brains,
they light up like a Christmas tree during an error. They show significant processing activity. They are biologically analyzing the mistake in real time. Their brain is leaning in saying, okay, what happened here? What can we learn?
that is a massive, massive competitive advantage. I mean, every death in-game is a packet of data. If you have a fixed mindset, you're basically hitting delete on that data without ever opening it.
And if you have a growth mindset, you're downloading the update patch for your own skill set every single time.
That's the perfect way to frame it. And this all bleeds into how we understand something like confidence, right? Confidence versus arrogance.
Yeah, they're not the same thing at all.
I used to think arrogance was just too much confidence. You know, like you cross some imaginary line and suddenly you become a jerk. But SporteAcademy says they are structurally fundamentally different things.
Arrogance is incredibly fragile. It's built on comparison. The core belief is, I am better than them, and that works fine as long as you are, stomping on players worse than you.
But the moment you meet someone who's actually better,
and there is always someone better, your entire reality collapses. You tilt immediately because your self-worth was entirely tied to being the best in that lobby.
So arrogance is a glass cannon. It looks impressive, but it shatters at the first sign of real pressure.
Exactly. Real confidence, on the other hand, is built on evidence. It comes from what they call the confidence cycle.
Okay, what's the cycle?
It's simple. You practice a specific skill. Let's say it's a spray transfer pattern in an aim trainer. Then you see the improvement. You see the scores going up.
So you have data.
You have hard data. Then you trust the execution of that skill in a real match. And then you repeat the whole process. Practice, see improvement, trust execution, repeat.
So it's data-driven self-belief.
It is. Confidence is your brain making a logical prediction based on past facts. It's your brain saying, I know I can hit this shot because I have done it 500 times in practice. If you haven't put in the reps, your brain knows you're lying to it when you say, I'm confident.
You can't gaslight your own nervous system?
Nope. And that's where the anxiety comes from. It's the gap between your desired performance and your actual evidence of training.
Speaking of gaslighting yourself, let's talk about self-talk. Because the voice in my head when I'm in a 1v1 is usually just screaming panic. It's not helpful.
No, it's usually the opposite of helpful. The source material highlights a really interesting neurological trap here. They call it the don't miss trap.
Okay, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Scenario, it's match point. I've got the operator, the big sniper. I'm holding an angle, and I'm just chanting in my head, don't miss. Do not miss. Don't whiff this.
And then what happens?
I miss. Almost every single time. It's like a curse.
It's not a curse, it's neuroscience. The human brain, especially under high cognitive load, like in a clutch situation, really struggles to process negative commands.
What do you mean process negative commands?
To understand the command don't miss, your brain first has to visualize missing. It has to conjure up the image of the thing you're trying to avoid. So you are inadvertently priming your neural pathways for the exact outcome you want to prevent.
Oh my God. I am literally programming the failure into my own brain.
You are. The fix is to use instructional or motivational phrasing, positive commands. Instead of don't miss, you have to tell yourself, hit the shot, or click on his head.
Instead of don't peek, it should be hold the angle.
Instead of don't die, stay alive.
It seems like such a small semantic trick, but it completely changes the visualization in your head.
It directs the brain toward the target, not toward the error. It's a huge difference.
They have this great chart in the course book, Never Say versus Always Say. My absolute favorite was changing my team sucks to what can I do to help my team win?
That is the ultimate growth mindset shift, isn't it? It moves you from being a victim, I'm losing because of them, to being a problem solver, I can influence this outcome.
I love that. But let's be real for a second. You can have the best mindset in the world on a Tuesday morning after a good night's sleep and a nice coffee. But what happens on Friday night? You've lost 4 ranked games in a row, your teammate just accidentally flashed you in the face, and you get one tapped by a pistol from across the map. That whole intellectual concept of growth just evaporates.
Goes right out the window.
We need to talk about Section 2, tilt control.
Or, as the material puts it, the biology of rage.
Right. First off, tilt is a poker term, correct?
It is, yeah. In poker, it means you let negative emotions, frustration, anger, override your rational decision-making. You start playing the hand you wish you had, not the one you actually have.
You get reckless.
You do. And in gaming, it's exactly the same. But SporteAcademy breaks this down not as a weakness of character, but as a specific physiological event. It's called the amygdala hijack.
Which sounds like a Robert Ludlum novel, The Amygdala Hijack, coming this summer.
It's actually a very accurate descriptor of what's happening. Let's use an analogy. Imagine your brain is a major corporation. The CEO, the one in the corner office making all the big, smart, long-term decisions, is your prefrontal cortex. This is the part of your brain responsible for logic, strategy, planning, and impulse control.
That's the part that knows it's a bad idea to push a full squad by myself.
Right. Then you have the amygdala. The amygdala is the head of security for the building. It's ancient, it's fast, and it is paranoid. Its only job is to detect threats and keep you alive.
Okay, so CEO and a very jumpy head of security.
Exactly. Now, when you get frustrated, say you die to a camper you think is playing cheap, or the game lags at a critical moment, the amygdala perceives this not as an annoyance, but as a genuine threat. And it hits the panic button.
It pulls the fire alarm for the whole building.
And when that alarm goes off, what's the first thing that happens? The building goes into lockdown. The security guard, the amygdala, physically locks the CEO out of the building.
So
the amygdala floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline to prepare you for a fight. But in doing so, it physically inhibits the neural pathways to your prefrontal cortex. Your logic center goes offline.
So when I'm tilted, I'm not just angry. I am biologically incapable of making smart decisions.
The CEO is locked out. You literally become less intelligent. You cannot access your strategic training, your game sense, any of it. This is why tilted players make the same dumb mistake 3 times in a row.
They just keep running into the same line of sight and dying.
Because they're operating on pure primal instinct, which is usually just run forward and fight. Their logical brain is completely offline.
That explains the revenge cue. You die, you're mad, you instantly queue up again to get your points back, and you just lose even harder.
Because you were playing with a handicapped brain. Which brings us to, I think, the most sobering fact in the entire document. the 20-minute rule.
This one hurt to read. Break it down for me.
Stress hormones, specifically cortisol, have a half-life in your bloodstream. It takes approximately 20 minutes for them to be naturally cleared out and for your body to return to a calm baseline.
20 minutes.
15 minutes.
So if I rage, slam my desk, and then take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm calm now, maybe 30 seconds later.
You are lying to yourself. You might feel psychologically calmer because you've decided to be, but physiologically, your blood is still toxic with stress hormones. Your fine motor skills, the ones you need for precise aim, are compromised. Your reaction time is jittery.
So recueing instantly is not just a bad idea, it's guaranteed self-sabotage.
It absolutely is. This justifies why taking a break isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic biological necessity if you actually want to win.
Okay, so we know the hardware's overheating. We need a cooling system. The source lists 5 anti-tilt techniques. Let's go through the big ones.
The first one is probably the most powerful and immediate. It's called tactical breathing, or box breathing. This is a technique used by special forces, by first responders, to lower their heart rate in life or death situations.
Well, if it works in an actual combat zone, it should probably work in Call of Duty.
You'd hope so. The mechanism is really simple. You inhale for a count of 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4, you exhale for 4, and you hold the exhale for 4.
Like drawing a box with your breath.
Exactly. This specific rhythm stimulates the vagus nerve, which is like a direct line to your parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest system. It is a manual override for the amygdala's panic button.
So when you feel that heat in your face, the first thing you do is a few cycles of box breathing.
It's your first line of defense. Then you have the strategic reset, and this ties directly back to that 20-minute rule. You need physical separation. Get up, take the headphones off, walk away from the screen.
They specifically mention looking out a window. Distance vision. Why is that important?
Well, your eyes have been locked at a focal distance of, 20 inches for hours on end. Staring at something in the distance, like the horizon, literally relaxes the ciliary muscles in your eyes. But it also signals a change of environment to the brain. It helps break that obsessive tunnel vision.
Okay, and then there's cognitive reframing. This one feels a little more like mental jujitsu.
It is. It's all about changing the narrative in your head. A tilted brain's narrative is, that was lucky BS. A reframed brain says they took a position that created that lucky opportunity.
One is a victim, one is an analyst.
Precisely. A tilted brain says, my teammates are throwing my game. A reframed brain asks, how can I support them to make them more useful? It stops you from feeling powerless. Victims can't clutch.
That's a good line. And we have to mention the simplest tool of all, social filtering. The mute button.
The greatest weapon in the game, hands down. The source material is very, very firm on this. A zero-tolerance policy. If a teammate is being toxic, you meet them immediately. You do not argue. You do not try to teach them a lesson.
It never works.
It never works. Toxic players rarely provide useful intel. They only provide you with cortisol. Protect your mental state at all costs.
And finally, the stop-loss rule. This is borrowed from stock trading, right?
It is. In trading, a stop loss automatically sells your stock if it drops below a certain price to prevent you from losing everything in a market crash.
So you're preventing an emotional decision.
Yes. In gaming, you set the rule before you even sit down to play. You decide ahead of time. If I lose 3 ranked matches in a row, I will take a mandatory 30-minute break. No exception.
Because once you're tilted, you can't trust your own judgment to stop playing. You're just chasing losses.
The rage loop takes over. You need the preset rule to override the compromised emotional brain.
Okay, let's assume we've managed our tilt. We're calm, we're zen. Now we actually need to perform. That brings us to section 3, focus and concentration.
Or how to get into the flow state.
This is that magical zone, right, where time just disappears. You look up, 3 hours have passed, and you've been playing completely out of your mind. The stats they had on this were just staggering.
A high flow state correlates to a 65% win rate. A low flow state, a distracted state, correlates to a 36% win rate.
That is a 29-point differential. That's the difference between being hard-stuck gold and ranking up to diamond right there.
It's everything. But as you said, in the modern world, actually achieving that deep flow is harder than it's ever been.
We have to talk about the focus killers.
And what's number 1 with a bullet?
The smartphone, without question.
I feel personally attacked again. Look, it's just dopamine fragmentation. Every time you glance at your phone, check a notification, scroll for 10 seconds, you shatter your concentration. The research they cited suggests it takes roughly 23 minutes to regain deep focus after even a minor interruption.
23 minutes. A standard battle royale match is like 25 minutes long.
Exactly. If you check a text message between rounds, or worse, while you're dead and spectating your team, you are guaranteeing that you will never hit deep focus for the next match. You're perpetually operating in a state of shallow attention.
So digital hygiene isn't just some wellness buzzword. It's a core competitive strategy. Phone silent, face down on the other side of the room.
It has to be. But there is another focus killer that I think will be controversial, especially for our Gen Z listeners.
Oh boy. I know where this is going. The music debate.
Music with lyrics?
Oh man. I know so many people, myself included sometimes, who grind ranked with Spotify blasting rap or pop music. They say it hikes them up.
And it might hype them up emotionally, but it is taxing them cognitively. Lyrics engage the language processing centers of your brain, Wernicke's area and Broca's area.
The same parts of my brain I need to process my teammates' callouts.
The very same parts. And the same parts you need to read the kill feed, process on-screen text, and communicate your own strategy. You are forcing your brain to multitask at a fundamental level. You might think you're ignoring the lyrics, but your brain is still processing them in the background. It's draining the battery.
So if you just want to vibe out in a casual game, fine. But if you want to win,
Instrumental music, lo-fi beats, or ideally just pure game audio, you need every ounce of those processing resources for the match itself.
okay, let's dial up the pressure. We're focused, we're calm. Now's the big moment. Section 4. Clutch performance. You are the last one alive. It's 1v3. Your whole squad is spectating you. The chat is watching. Your heart is pounding out of your chest. Why do we choke in those moments?
We choke because it's a biological threat response. In that moment, your brain perceives the social pressure, the fear of failure, the judgment of your peers as a literal threat to your survival, just like seeing a predator in the wild.
So we go right back into that fight or flight mode again.
We do. And a very specific symptom of that response is attentional narrowing. It's tunnel vision.
You stop seeing the mini-map. You stop hearing footsteps from the side.
Your working memory completely overloads. You forget to reload your weapon. You forget to check your corners. You forget what the original plan was.
And you become risk-averse. I thought that was a really interesting point.
It is. Instead of playing to win, you start playing not to lose. You hide in a corner hoping the enemies just go away, which of course usually gets you killed. It's a passive, fearful state.
So how do we break out of that panic spiral? SporteAcademy prescribes a 3-step clutch protocol,
Step 1 is the most counterintuitive. Slow down.
which feels totally wrong. In a 1v3, I feel like I need to be playing at Mach 10 just to keep up.
But panic is fast and sloppy. Calm is smooth and smooth is fast. Taking one single conscious breath, just one, is enough to anchor you in the present moment. It breaks the frantic acceleration of the panic.
Okay, one breath. Then what? Step 2, focus on process.
This means you must forget the outcome. You have to consciously stop thinking, I need to win this round, or if I die, my team will flame me. Those are future thoughts and they're poison.
So you focus on the immediate, the next single action, check that corner, listen for footsteps, keep my crosshairs at head height.
Exactly. Shrink your world down from the whole round to just the next 5 seconds. And that leads to step 3. Trust your training.
This is the let go phase.
It is. Conscious thought is way too slow for a gunfight. If you are actively thinking, okay, now I need to move my mouse 3 inches to the left to track his head, you are already dead. You have to hand the keys over to your muscle memory and just let the hours of training take over.
I really like this section they had on reframing pressure, too. It deals with the physical symptoms, you know, when your hands start shaking, the adrenaline dump.
The shakes. Every competitor knows them.
I always interpreted that as I'm scared. And because I thought I was scared, I played scared. I was more cautious.
But physiologically, the body's response to intense fear and intense excitement are almost identical. That shaking, that racing heart, that's adrenaline. That is your body dumping high-octane fuel into your bloodstream to increase your reaction speed and your visual acuity.
So instead of thinking I'm nervous, I should be thinking I'm buffed.
I am ready. My body is preparing me to be fast. If you frame it as a power-up, you can ride that adrenaline wave and use it. If you frame it as fear, you drown in it.
And they also mentioned visualization as a prep tool for this.
This is huge for pros. If you have never, not once, imagined yourself winning a 1v3, your brain won't recognize the path to victory when you're actually in one. It will feel like an impossible situation.
So you practice in your mind.
You visualize the success scenarios vividly, the clutch, the defuse, the final kill, so that when the moment happens, your brain goes, oh, I've been here before. I know what to do. It's like running a simulation before the final exam.
Okay, section 5. Let's say we did all that and we didn't clutch. We died. We lost the round. We lost the game. This is usually the point where the controller hits the wall.
Or the keyboard takes a beating.
But SporteAcademy says this is the most important moment. We need to pivot to learning from losses.
They have a great quote for this. They call losses tuition for the school of improvement.
That is a very expensive tuition some nights.
It can be. But consider this. Wins are deceptive. Wins can actually hide your mistakes.
Not so.
If you make a stupid push into a squad, but they just happen to have terrible aim and you somehow kill them all, what does your brain learn? It learns pushing stupidly works. You've just reinforced a bad habit because you got a positive result.
Success can create bad data.
Exactly. Losses, on the other hand, force you to see the unfiltered truth. But only if you ask the right questions instead of just getting angry. The source gives us a 3 questions framework to run after every single death.
Okay, question 1. What killed me?
And you have to be specific. Don't just say BS. Was it bad positioning? Was it poor timing? Was it a mechanical miss on my aim? Was it a lack of information?
Question 2. What could I have done differently?
This is the hard one because it requires you to take ownership. You have to focus strictly on the controllables. You cannot control that the enemy got a lucky headshot through smoke. You can control that you peaked the same angle twice in a row without using any utility.
And question 3. What will I do next time?
You have to create a specific, actionable commitment. Next time I am in that situation, I will use a flashbang before I peek that corner. It closes the learning loop.
And to really do this effectively, they say you have to do VOD review.
So,
Watching your own replays.
it is the single fastest way to improve at any complex skill, period.
But it's so painful. Watching yourself suck is not a fun experience.
It's painful because it shatters your delusions about how you played. Your memory is emotional. The video is factual. You might remember getting instantly deleted with no time to react.
The video might show you standing in an open field for 4 seconds before you got shot.
The camera does not lie. And they add one really crucial tip here. Wait at least 30 minutes before reviewing a bad loss.
Create an emotional buffer.
Exactly. If you watch it immediately, you're just reliving the anger and the frustration. You're not analyzing. You need to cool down so you can look at your own gameplay like a coach, not like a victim.
That's really smart. Okay, finally, let's talk about how to start the session right in the first place. Section 6. Pre-game routines. I am definitely guilty of just jumping into my chair, cold, with a bag of chips, and queuing ranked immediately.
Which, as we've established, is probably why your heart stuck gold.
Ouch. Yeah, fair enough.
Look, if you want to play like a pro, you have to prepare like an athlete. You don't see Steph Curry just walking out of the locker room and launching half-court shots without a proper warm-up.
The stat here was pretty compelling. Consistent warm-ups lead to 15–20% better performance in the first 10 minutes of a match.
That's huge. That's the difference between winning your hot drop and going straight back to the lobby in 30 seconds.
It is. And SporteAcademy prescribes a very specific 15-minute routine. It's not long, but it's very deliberate.
Let's run through the phases. Phase 1 is body prep.
What does that entail?
It's just 2 to 3 minutes. Simple hand and wrist stretches, shoulder rolls, a posture check to make sure you're sitting upright. I mean, you are about to ask your hands to perform micromillimeter precision movements for hours. They need to be warm and loose.
Okay, that makes sense. Then phase 2, aim warm-up.
5 to 7 minutes. And the key here is not to just jump into the hardest possible scenario at 100% speed. You start slow, maybe 50% speed.
Yeah.
You focus on smoothness, on building that tracking rhythm before you move on to flicks and speed.
Then phase 3, mental prep.
3 to 5 minutes. This is where you set an intention for the session. Today, I will focus on my positioning. Or today, I will communicate clearly. You visualize a win. You do a minute of that box breathing to center yourself.
And the last one, phase 4, environment.
This is the final 2 minutes. This is the setup. Phone is put away. Your lighting is right. You tell your roommates or your family, hey, I'm in game mode for the next hour.
It creates a psychological boundary.
It does. And it's all about the consistency principle. This whole routine, if you do it every time, acts as a Pavlovian trigger. You are training your brain that this specific sequence stretching wrists, plus aim trainer, plus breathing, equals peak performance mode.
So eventually, just doing the wrist stretches will start to trigger your brain to lock in.
You're hacking your own operating system. You're building a boot-up sequence for high performance.
I like that. A boot-up sequence.
Exactly.
We have covered a massive amount of ground here. I mean, from the neuroscience of the growth mindset all the way to the biology of tilt and the specific protocols for clutching up.
We have. It's a lot to take in.
So if we had to boil this all down to a cheat sheet, something the listener can take away and use right now, what is the core philosophy holding all of this together?
I would circle back to what they call the golden rule from SporteAcademy, which is this. Control what you can control and let go of the rest.
Can you expand on that a little?
You can control your aim because you can practice it. You can control your positioning. You can control your self-talk and your breathing. You cannot control the random loot you get. You cannot control a sudden leg spike. You cannot control your random teammates.
Right.
If you invest your emotional energy in the things you can't control, you will tilt, you will get frustrated, and you will lose. If you invest that same energy only into what you can control, you will improve and you will climb.
That is the stoicism of the leaderboard right there. Now, for implementation, because this is a lot of information. If I try to do the breathing and the reframing and the new warm-up and the VOD review all starting tomorrow, I'm just going to burn out.
Absolutely. You don't try to do it all at once. That's a guaranteed recipe for failure. SporteAcademy suggests a phased rollout.
Okay, so what's the schedule? How do you start?
For weeks 1 and 2, you focus on one thing and one thing only. Your self-talk. Nothing else. Just catch yourself when you say, I suck, or that was BS, and consciously change it to, I'm learning, or what could I have done there? That's it.
One small change. And then for weeks 3 and 4.
Then you add the anti-tilt breathing. When you die and you feel that flash of anger, you take one cycle of box breath. You're building the house one brick at a time, not trying to build the whole thing in a day.
It's a progression system for your brain.
Yeah.
You don't get to level 50 on day 1.
You absolutely don't.
Well, this has been an absolute deep dive into the psychology of clicking heads. It really turns out the most powerful graphics card you can possibly upgrade is the one that's already inside your skull.
But the knowledge alone changes nothing, right? Implementation is what does. You have the blueprint now. The question is whether you'll actually go and build the house.
I'm going to leave you all with this final thought, a direct quote from the source material. Your mindset is your superpower. The question is no longer whether you can develop an elite competitive mindset. It's whether you will put in the work to do it.
That's the challenge right there.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Go practice your box breathing, put that phone in the other room, and maybe, just maybe, we will see you in the final circle.
GG.
GG, everyone.